Alright, so right now I'm on an airplane heading to Orlando, Florida, and y'all are stuck in math class. So, while you guys were out Friday and Chase was delivering his one poinsettia, and the rest of you were delivering several that you had there, we started this worksheet that you guys just got on factoring quadratics. So I'm just going to jump in with a few of them, work them out. If you got the hang of it and want to move ahead of me, that's fine. Otherwise, you can work with me and we'll do it just like we do in class. Just if you're working ahead, be quiet and work ahead. Don't interrupt me, but you can interrupt me because I can't hear you. But don't interrupt somebody else trying to listen to what's going on as far as the problems being taught. So, going to jump down to 14. We worked a few of them on Friday from the first part. You guys should be able to figure those out. It's mostly Algebra 2, Algebra 1 review. So, start with 14. Negative 7n squared equals negative 371. Going to solve for n. Again, on these, n squared is already by itself. Since n squared is already by itself, we don't have to go through factoring or quadratic formula. You guys do quadratic formula later on this week. So we'll jump right in, solve for the variable, divide by negative 7 on both sides. And pull my calculator up. And I get 53, so I get n squared equals 53. Negative divided by negative is a positive. I'll square root both sides. And when you square root both sides, make sure you take the positive and the negative. We'll talk a little bit about breaking down square roots as we go on if we run into it. But square root of 53 has no perfect square factors. It's a prime number. So you can just leave it as n equals positive or negative square root 53. All right, 14. All right, if you go to 15, same process. B squared minus 3 is negative 13. All right, and solve, so we solve equations. Get for b by itself, going to add 3 to both sides. B squared is negative 10. We're going to square root. And square root, we take the positive and the negative. So we have a negative inside the radical. We get b equals, we need to pull out an I. So we got positive or negative. Square root of a negative is going to make an I. And 10, again, has no perfect square factors. 2 times 5, 1 times 10, none of those are perfect squares. So we leave it I times the square root of 10. All right, 17. Slowing down. Waiting on you, Caroline. Probably got it now. Chase, stop talking. Tyler, quit laughing. Moving on. Alright, this is already factored out for us. No other factoring can be done with x squared plus 3. So this is like it's reached its factored form at the end. We did a few of these with the x to the 4th and x to the 8th. So since it's already separated into factored form, separate each factor equal to 0. X minus 4 equals 0. X squared plus 3 equals 0. Solve each of those. Going to add 4 to both sides. X equals 4. And subtract 3 over here. X squared equals negative 3. Square root. Take the positive and the negative. And again, here we got square root of a negative, which is going to bring an I outside the radical. And I square root of 3 would stay in there. And those are your 3 answers. 4. Positive I squared root of 3, negative I squared root of 3. All right. Okay, and drop 22 next. Okay, 22 is not factored yet. So first step of factoring is GCF. And out of this we can pull out an x value. If at any point I'm moving too fast, just ask to pause the video while you catch up. That's fine. Alright, pull out an x. So we got x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 0. We need factors. We've got 1 times 25. So the factors of 25 that add to give me 10. It'll be 5 and 5. So if I go 5x plus 25. And these are both negative. So negative 5x, negative 5x. Alright. We worked on a little bit of this without the x sitting out front. It gets a little weird here, but we're going to take the first two terms, last two terms, take the GCF out of each one of those. So just keep your parenthesis going there. So the first two terms I could take out an x. I'll take out an x, it's got a second parenthesis in there, which is fine. X squared, took out an x, leaves me an x. Minus 5x, pull out the x, leaves me minus 5. Over there. Talk a little bit about this situation when we got a negative in front of that 5 right there. Not sure everybody quite understood when I was saying that. Anytime we got a negative in front, we want to factor the negative out. So we're going to factor out a negative 5. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 will leave positive 1x. Positive 25 divided by negative 5 going to leave us minus 5. So you're going to need an extra parenthesis to close it. Alright. Take out what's in common. We're going to keep this x out front first. That's that x right there. Two sets of parentheses left. What's in common is x minus 5. Both of those have x minus 5. And then what's left is x minus 5 also. That equals 0. Give me a second if you're catching up. Okay, so far I did take out GCF, that's the x here. Once you take the x out, x squared minus 10x plus 25. Factors of 25 that added to give me negative 10. Negative 5 and negative 5. I factored by grouping, first two, last two. GCF of the first two is the x I pulled out here. Left me x minus 5 inside. GCF of the second set here is negative 5. Leaves me the x minus 5 in there as well. Took out what was in common, the x minus 5s came here. What was left was the x and the minus 5 came here. Separate them out. First x equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. Obviously the last one can give us the same answer. It can give us 5 twice. And right now that's not a big deal. We'll talk about what that means in terms of the graph next week. So that'll be a place where it touches and turns for this particular graph. But right now not a big deal. Alright. We'll move to 23 next. Let's see if you're getting that. This is incredible. We're 9 minutes into a recording. I've gotten 4 problems done. Chase has not asked a general question yet. Anson is hopefully awake still, writing things down. And I'm moving to number 23. Hopefully Tristan hasn't made any threats at anybody. Alright, number 23, you got 5 terms. Sorry, 4 terms. So 4 terms is going to set up for grouping. So first two, last two. There are no GCF, or there's no GCF on this problem here. So we're going to separate out first two, last two. I'll look at the first two. Don't worry about the 3x minus 15. First two, I could pull out an x squared. They both have that. Had 3, took 2, leaves me 1. had 5x squared. I pulled the x squared out, so it gives me the minus 5. Plus 3x minus 15 if I look at the last two. So again, don't worry about this one now. GCF is going to be 3. If I do 3 divided by 3, it's going to leave me 1x. And negative 15 divided by 3 is going to leave me negative 5. We'll pull out what's in common. X minus 5 times what's left, so it's x squared plus 3. And if you look back at 17, it's almost identical to that problem. The only difference is instead of x minus 4, you got x minus 5. But x minus 5 equals 0. X squared plus 3 equals 0. X is going to be positive 5. X squared equals negative 3. Square root both sides. Take the positive and the negative. And x would equal positive or negative square root. Need an I coming out, since I have a negative inside. And that leaves me 3 there. It's 23. Okay, I can do one more for you, just 25. Okay. All right, on 25, what we've seen so far, 14, 15, just b squared in those, so I could solve those, or just n squared. So I go ahead and solve for n or solve for b. 17 had multiple parts, but it was already factored, so I separated them out, set each factor equals 0. 22, you had 3 parts. So 3 parts was our general factoring here. We had to factor out the GCF first, and then we did our first term times last term. Factors 25 had to give us 10. And then 23, 4 terms, so we were able to do factor by grouping. Anytime you got 4 terms, group it, do it that way. All right, 25, we're back to 3 terms, but now we have x to the 4th power. We got 4th, we got squared, and we've got constant. So we are in a quadratic form. All right, so if I go ahead and factor this, treat it just like we would a quadratic. 1 times 6 is 6. I need factors of 6 that subtract to give me 1. Negative 1. Alright, so factors of 6 subtract to give me negative 1, going to be 3 and 2. So another 6 is going to be a 3 and a 2. Going to factor the x to the 4th is x squared times x squared. And I can split that evenly. And this is a greater negative. The greater one is negative. Greater negative. 3 is greater than 2, so that's going to be negative 3, positive 2. Okay, now I'm separated out. X squared minus 3 equals 0. X squared plus 2 equals 0. Add 3 here. X squared equals 3. Square root it. Take the positive and the negative. Nothing else to do with that. 3's prime number, so it's going to stay positive or negative. Square root of 3. Over here, x squared equals negative 2. Take the square root. Positive and negative. Alright, positive or negative. Negative is going to come out of the radical as an I. Square root of 2 will stay inside. So we get 4 roots. There. Positive and negative square root of 3. Positive and negative I square root of 2. And next week we'll worry about what that means in terms of the graph. It's going to touch twice, actually cross through the axis twice, and the other two we're not going to touch. Okay. So directions on this. Continue working on the worksheet the rest of the class period today, and you need to be able to go back and finish this worksheet by tomorrow. So this is your homework for tomorrow. You can use this. I'll give you an answer key tomorrow when you come into class. You'll get one of those to go over your answers. Have a couple minutes maybe to discuss with each other anything that may be helpful there. You can use this homework assignment, and you can use your notes on the quiz that's going to be tomorrow. So far we've done all this factoring. It's going to be on the factoring we did last week. That's what the quiz will be on, with the quadratic types and all that. And again, any notes you got, anything you got written down, this homework will also work. You can use all that for the quiz. So good luck on that. I know you're happy about that. And I will be talking to you guys again on Wednesday, I believe, is the next video. So good luck. And I'm enjoying Florida, in case you're wondering, and not thinking about school. Miss you. See ya.